Evening TV, I'm Evening Ransom. Something very strange happened here. There was a super predator among us. Elle was aggressively attacked, sexually harassed in a very deviant manner, held hostage, isolated, manipulated, screamed at, called names, humiliated, threatened, and all communication and interaction were manipulated. Every attempt to get people together was controlled and manipulated. I want to fill you in, but this creepy narc freak was talking behind everyone's back and pulling all the strings. We all saw it, and we think there is important info here, not to mention we just discovered a super predator hiding among us. What took our narcs years to achieve, this creep managed to pull off in a matter of 24 hours. This creep pulled strings to keep us all apart, isolate us from one another, and though one person was immediately alerted, it took the rest of us a few days to realize what was happening. Ultimately, it was Elle's account of what happened to her that blew the lid off the entire event. This is pretty strange story, Evening. They are genuine predators. They are all working off a collective hive mind, and though it took several of us a few days to see it, we included a real monster just exposed itself in a very public way, and I will admit that I was instantly confused by the gaslighting and control tactics. Thank God, most of my communication with the thing is in writing and now screen saved. This is her to the group 10 days ago now. Okay? With exposed whatever it takes. This is no garden variety narc. This is a super predator. This is everything just hyperbole. The narc played us all with the greatest of ease, moving us around like chessmen. The level of covert manipulation was incredible to watch and gave me a heightened level of insight, so I am not as bothered by that as much. I am not happy about it, but Elle is the real issue here. It was like watching the movie Gaslight in real time. Truly amazing to watch firsthand. My real issue is what happened to Elle. That was too bloody much. And that it itself is a cause for extreme alarm within our community. The anger, aggression, isolation, mind control, humiliation, name calling, and fear he caused her, no fucking way, not on my watch. If we know about this and do nothing, we are simply not good people. Elle deserves to be treated with respect and dignity. This was an extremely aggressive attack on her, and I believe he is dangerous and 100% capable of harming another victim. And the speed he was moving at, shocking. It took our ex-narcs years to pull off what this super creep could do in a matter of 24 hours. That's interesting. The aggressive, deviant, sexually charged assault against Elle would have landed his ass in a Mexican jail had we figured out what he had done to her. He later said that they stole his tequila. Like, what the fuck? In passing while still driving. Did I say maybe not, dude. They didn't appear to be in the need of booze, nor did they seem to be the type to steal someone's tequila. Likely, seriously, he was very angry and abnormally angry about the tequila, and I'm wondering if that is what triggered the attack on Elle, because he was pissed about that. Though he did seem angry most of the time, he was really mad about that. He didn't want to go to the beach. He did not to dinner, not to go out dancing, nada. He was never wanted to go to evenings at night, and he made sure he controlled communication to ensure people did not get together. Also, remembering who he is. If he is a narcissist, he will stop at nothing. And lies are second nature. We all need to agree, no contact with him. And he is going to go crazy with this, and it will get ugly. Let's all of us look to why this might have happened and make it an opportunity for growth and healing beyond what that relaxing and safe holiday might have been. I think you need to explain your relationship with David and the selection process for channels you promote, because those recommendations carry a lot of weight for people who have come to trust you more than their own judgment. I was thinking she was just lying, but actually I think that possibly it wasn't, and I think that's because I think there's a distinct possibility that he was using her and that she was going through some realizations at this meetup. All right, so their first sentence is, there is no relationship between David and me to explain. I have never had a professional relationship with David. No contractual agreements with him, nothing, not a zilch. So then that begs the question, what was she doing? Why was she doing that? Judging her, gushing praise for many, many videos towards him. It's because she's basically saying that she didn't have a contractual agreement with David, so that she was just basically saying all that nice stuff out of the goodness of her heart. So it's clear there's a big discrepancy between what she was saying, what she knew, what she ended up doing. And there's just a lot of, we know now that she lies, so it's just the question is what part is she lying about and what part matters. What part of it matters. So I'm just going to continue on. But so now what she's wanting us to believe is that despite all these effusive, videos and all this, trying to establish her innocence here. And that becomes less and less plausible. And it's not plausible at all to me now. One person was playing the strings. One person was fully aware of what was happening and what the end game was. And that person is David. Now, I do kind of believe that. I do believe that he knew what the end game was. She didn't. I think that she knew a lot of what was going on, but she thought that they were going to be more together than they were. He was fully aware of his own personal intentions. Yes. He knew exactly what he was doing and what he hoped to gain. Yes. And he developed a plan that he executed with no regard for anyone but himself. Yes. I would agree with all of that. Say evening, I don't work with David on any projects. For about a year now, he just contacts me from time to time to tell me he is alone on the planet, a white American man, and that he feels attacked. A victim of horrendous childhood narcissistic abuse, abandoned by his father, terrorized by his mother, adopted, cruelly treated his entire life, being smeared by other YouTubers, mistreated his entire life, and I say, how can I help? I am always so willing to help, and he has come to know that and expect it. We have had many conversations about his victimization, and I was 100% supportive. He is being attacked by a YouTuber right now, and yes, she is a narc. I saw that firsthand. So his stories of victimization were realistic. I had not ever considered that it was two narcs in a narc feeding frenzy, which is what it actually is. And so she comes to these conclusions really fast. Makes sense that she would come to the conclusions if she knows the information as fast as I'm getting the information, as fast as the other people in this conversation are getting the information. We can't come to these conclusions, but she's coming to them. So it's clear that, she had the information sooner, which is actually, she is calling him out publicly, and he is buying thumbs ups and thumbs downs and having them sent to her channel. They are bashing one another, and he asked me many times to back him as I personally witnessed an online attack against him, so everything he had told me was validated. You are right. I have known I need to make a public statement. I just do not want to ignite an online crisis and generate distrust within our community. But we cannot let a full-blown super narc hide within our ranks. I think we all agree that something must happen. Narcs hiding within our community must be exposed to reduce risk of harm, and we need to cleverly find a way to do this without causing further fear, distrust, etc. People feel bad once they come to see that they were fooled, manipulated, and covertly made to do something based on lies. I feel like a complete fool. I feel stupid, gullible, like a fucking victim of a narc all over again. It's not good. I feel like shit. I know he is reaching out. I know he is looking for flying monkeys. I know that he knows that we are all over this. So true to his narc form, he already has a plan. He is already raging with full narc fear of exposure. He has already begun the death fight. I think it is safe to say he loves conflict and creates drama if he could accuse us of stealing a bottle of tequila, when in reality all we did was graciously thank him for bringing something that we never even touched. That is a man who doesn't want to be happy, but he can't destroy our joy without our permission. Not today, David, not today.
And what the best way to identify or find out what your narcissist is doing wrong is what they accuse you of. So thieves accuse people of stealing, don't they? I don't steal. So, and I know most of you or all of you don't steal. Therefore, we don't think about it. We don't think like a thief. We aren't worried about it. It's not in our lives, so we don't accuse people of stealing. They do. Thieves accuse people of stealing. Now, these people will constantly accuse you of what they do. So,
hi guys, just a few things that I want to clarify. When I invited people to PV, so she starts getting a little defensive here. When I invited people to PV, I invited victims of narcissistic abuse, not narcs. I believed David, like everyone else, to be a nice person. I did not invite a narc here any more than I invited a narc into my life. Narcs do not appear to be narcs initially, as we all know. I do not have any professional affiliation with him whatsoever. David is responsible. David and David alone. Okay, listen up. David is responsible. David and David alone. He was fully aware of his own personal intentions. He knew exactly what he was doing and what he hoped to gain, and he developed a plan that he executed with no regard for anyone but himself. Kim knows PV. Elle was really tired, and she had poor boundaries, and she needed some protection. I could see that already. I would not have left her alone. I mean, basically, she dropped those two off in PV and left. And I wouldn't have done that. This is when the problem began. Okay, so there's nothing odd about this whatsoever. Common exchange of words. No red flags, nothing odd. Well, I would say there was no red flag. So no obvious threat was detectable. There is a problem, and once again, we must stay focused on the real problem. Covert intentions, a creepy hidden agenda, soul sickness, delusional thinking, and a need to control and manipulate good and trusting people are the problem here. And all attention should be focused on David and the development of a well-executed plan to expose a narc hiding amongst us, full stop. So interesting, she just seems very, 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 very controlling about wanting to make sure that no one is holding her responsible, which is such a boldly narcissistic trait. I mean, that is just a telltale sign of an overt narcissist, is someone who just, cannot be wrong. Cannot be wrong. And
right? They can't be wrong, or all this shame they have surfaces, and now they identify with, I'm a horrible fucking piece of shit. Okay, they will. And so they won't.
And she seems to really be having a hard time here with admitting she was wrong. And it's really surprising. I mean, it's just so obvious that she doesn't... It's just so obvious she was wrong. It's surprising that she won't admit it, but it's surprising that she doesn't even see what she's saying by not being able to admit it. What she's screaming.
They cannot be wrong. Ever. They can't deal with that. They won't ever accept any responsibility. Never done anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with me at all. I am so fucking perfect. I've never fucked up on anything. I've never done anything wrong. I've never made a mistake. Nope, never.
Imply that I would be assuming responsibility for anyone's safety. That claim was never made, nor could anyone make a promise like that. So irresponsible. To make a promise like that would have to assume control over people's actions and choices. I never implied that anyone should trust that I don't remember reading this before. No one should ever trust that I would be assuming responsibility for their safety. People made choices every day, and they should potentially put them in harm's way. And though I assume responsibility for my own personal choices, it defies logic that I would assume responsibility for the choices of others. I totally disagree in this case. She was driving. She was responsible for the car. She was responsible for inviting him there. And then she was responsible, brought to my place. The whole thing took place. And then she drops her off with this predator who she definitely knew for months, maybe even years, before any of the rest of us did. And she's trying to act like we're all in the same boat. I never talked to the guy before in my life. I think that was the case with everyone. And so, we didn't have time to find out if he was a problem. And she did. And it was clear at my place. It was clear at my place that he was getting drunk. He was trying to get her drunk. She was tired. She kept saying no. That it just wouldn't have been... I would not have felt okay just leaving them, her in a strange city with him. No way. I totally wouldn't have done it. I have no responsibility with any role I played, but I am never assuming responsibility for the actions of a narc. I did that for many years, and it ended badly, and I'm never doing it again. That would be counterproductive. It perpetuates victim shaming. It misdirects people attention away from the real problem, the real bad guy, and a grave issue that it's destroying the lives of countless millions of people in the world over. She has this way of like turning things into, folding things into things that they're not. At this point, I'm not sure where things went sideways exactly. I'm not sure if I overlooked any red flags. I'm not sure what role I played in this, though I am actively poring over past communications with him, and I am trying to figure out what I might have. She is coming up with these conclusions that I wouldn't feel prepared to say any of these conclusions after 2 hours with the guy. She just met this woman, Elle. She'd known her for a couple of hours. But she'd been in a lot of communications with him for probably at least a year. And yet all she has to do is hear this one story, and it's interesting, she has no doubt that it's completely true, and she's completely assessed the whole thing and has him completely sized up as being just this super predator. So it's like, that to me is a very, if you had someone who was a friend, who you really considered a friend that you would say all those positive things about, and then you heard a story like this, wouldn't it take you a minute to process it? Wouldn't it take you a minute of going, no, it can't be. I'm like, Glenn, that can't be. And like talking to him and getting to the bottom of it? No. She just like heard it, and immediately she was ready to change her whole position on it. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense to me. It's just not, none of this is like a normal person, a normal relationship. It's just not normal. So she's now, so she's gone from, she was supposed to be lumped in like with the rest of us, that we were all just these innocent victims. That's what she wants. She doesn't want to be held out as different, as that she had a responsibility, and that even though she's the one vouching for him and saying all this stuff about him, she wants to now pretend that wasn't the case, that she didn't know him at all. She was just like the rest of us and didn't know him at all. So she's trying to, backpedal and get us all to pretend that she didn't bring him there. He came on his own, and that she didn't know all the things about him that she knew, and that she didn't have time to know things about him that she knew, and and that she didn't know how vulnerable that she's just, it's just not, it's just fantasy. She's just trying to, it's like she wants to do a certain thing. She wants to not do anything, so she has to fix the story to make that okay, is what's happening here. Of course, we all know that, right? It's cognitive dissonance. So to do the right thing, which she states early on the early videos, she knows what she needs to do. But now she's waffling, and she's changing the story to accommodate her waffling. The only thing that's not changing is that he is 100% the victim, the 100% bad guy, and there's no question about that. And I mean, she didn't give him. I mean, there's a few things that really stand out to me. One is that she didn't give him even a minute, benefit of the doubt, not even a minute of, I need to check it out, I need to talk to him, it just wasn't like a friend. It just was completely incongruous with the way that she was earlier. It's just completely incongruous. And to me, what it says is that her opinion changed based on that their relationship didn't go as she expected. And I believe she was used, and she realizes that he used her, and that was all coming to light at the same time. To the group, Kim, I understand what you're trying to say, but I don't see how you can deny inviting a narcissist to the meetup. David is as disordered as they come, and he had unguarded access to a group of vulnerable women who believed he was safe because of his association with you. Again, I'm not blaming you for what he did, but I'm also making a clear distinction in responsibility between, say, you and Elle. It is fair to say that you missed the signs or whatever is true for you in relation to him, and what I would be angriest about if I was you is that he undermined your credibility. He was a liability whose actions could easily cost you a great deal. Funny. Okay, so here's the interesting things about this. Okay, so he's basically talking about his interactions with David. Walk to your gay beach, didn't see you. I don't want to hang out at your gay hotel anyway. I'll see you later. So it sounds like a little kid. Those are guys in man thongs. Just so weird, you know. It's like, what is the deal? Why would you? Just so weird. I don't get that. Okay, September 16th, she flies into Puerto Vallarta. Kim picks her up. The airline had lost her luggage, and she's pretty stressed out. But the first thing they do is stop by David's condo. Okay, right away. That's the first thing they do. She picks this exhausted woman up, and the first thing they do is head to David's hotel. She was really excited to meet them. She went to get some clothes, and then they came to pick her up, and Kim just informed her that they were going to my place, to my condo, and David kept complimenting her on how nice she looked, but she didn't see nothing bothered her so far. She didn't know anything about the party that was at my place. She just knew they were coming over there, so she didn't know that, like, they had missed that they were 3 hours late, they missed the hors d'oeuvres. She didn't know anything about any of that. She just knew that they were going to my place. So she was really, really tired. She and Kim Sun were both really tired. They stayed for a couple hours and then left. And when they left, I thought she was heading straight to bed, but she was really hungry, and so she needed to go get something to eat. And so just so many things are mishandled here. You know, I would have taken her to get her something to eat, bring it home back to her place. I'd have dropped David off, and then I would have dropped her off back at her place. But instead, they just basically dumped the two of them. It's because they were basically in the same neighborhood. Dumped the two of them off together. So she's her first night there. She's only been in town for a little bit of time. She isn't drunk. She's had one beer the whole night, but he is drunk. And at my place, he was definitely trying to get her to drink and kind of definitely focused on her. And there were definitely red flags. She said she didn't see them, but they were definitely there. And I saw them, and Kim saw them. Even though later she denies seeing them, but she said earlier that she did see them. So they ended up sure walking around, was endlessly walking. She just wants to go to a taco stand, get some tacos, and go home and go to bed. But he insists that they need to eat dinner at a restaurant. So he's walking her around and around and around, and she doesn't realize how drunk he is because they just keep repeatedly going to the same places. Anyways, she finally goes and gets some Cheetos, and then they go back to her place. And he insists on walking her back to her place, and she says, "Okay, that'd be nice," because she is walking around a strange city, doesn't speak the language. It's late at night, you know. So in theory, if she still is believing he's a life coach, you know, he should be okay. So they get back to her place. He comes in to her place and dives onto the bed. He lays down on the bed. And since there was a couch, she thinks that's a little strange. And she starts worrying if maybe she gave him the wrong vibes or something. And so he starts talking really sexually inappropriate conversation he starts having. He starts, you know, basically making inappropriate comments about her body. He starts telling her about his porn addiction, how he likes to have three menage a trois with 2 men and a girl, and just different things. And he contradicts himself. He says he hasn't had sex for a long time, and then he also says that he's recently done threesomes, several threesomes somewhat recently. So he's just completely contradicting himself. It just gets weirder and weirder. She, at some point, he jumps up off the bed. He starts pacing around. He gets really loud. He gets animated and loud, and she's worried about, she's been warned about noise and stuff in the condo. And so she says, "Please be quiet." And that really sets him off. And he goes off about how she's a cock tease, how she's, violated his boundaries, how she, is just all this stuff. And he also goes off about everybody else that was there. He goes off about Kim being a meth addict, about me stealing his tequila, about, just something's wrong with every single person that is around. And he's talks about what a terrible meetup this is, how he came to network and get clients, and, all this kind of stuff. And she asks, finally she calms him down. She, basically has to say, "Yeah, you're right. I can't drink, and I am a cock tease. You're right. That's basically just has to basically tell him exactly what he needed her to be. She needed to go ahead and be that so that she wouldn't give him a narc." Eventually something is said, and he basically storms out and just basically leaves. And she basically grabs a kitchen knife and sits up all night, really freaked out. Obviously would be. Okay, so she hears from Kim in the morning. They're supposed to meet at the beach at 9:30. She goes there. She doesn't find them. She waits there until 1 o'clock and never finds them. So finally she doesn't want anywhere else to go or anything else to do, so she thinks maybe I'll go. So not knowing what else to do, she goes to David's condo. She roughly remembers where it was, and she thinks maybe that's where they are. And it's important to kind of keep this in context too. I mean, she's in a strange country. She came there to see Kim. She spent a lot of money. You know, it's really a big deal. So that's where she made a critical mistake, was going back there. But she was looking for Kim, and this is when it gets really creepy. This is when it was already really creepy. This is even creepier. So he basically tells her that he knows why everyone's ignoring her. He knows why everyone doesn't like her and he shows her this Facebook post that he made to Kim. And he says, Elle is not awesome. She basically gaslit me all night and walked me all around town and basically said all this stuff that was completely untrue. And she was just floored. And she's like, why did you do that? Why would you ever say that stuff? I don't know anybody here. And she just got really upset and was really crying. And then he was saying things like, oh, I want you to trust me, baby. And like getting her in like all this, just playing all these really crazy mind games with her. And finally she was just like, I'm out of here. So she goes to leave him. He decides just to walk her back, I guess. And so they leave, and she sees Kim and the other girls. But they don't see her, but she's not sure they don't see her now. She's thinking maybe they don't like her, and so she's not sure what's going on. But he holds her arm really tight, and he's like, just keep walking. And so she keeps walking. She says they pass him a few times, and they don't ever see her, and she keeps hoping that they will rush up to her and see her, but they don't ever notice her. And so they basically get back. She basically gets back to her place, and there's just more inappropriate conversations and stuff. But finally, when they get to her place, this time she finally gets some. She basically gets really firm boundaries and doesn't let him in, and then that's that. And that's the last time she sees him or anything for the rest of the rest of the trip forever. And the whole next day she spends completely alone, and it's not until the following day that she finally it gets the courage up to find everybody and tell the girls what happened. And then that's when I start hearing from Kim. I start getting all the emails. But over the course of that time, he basically says, goes into the whole thing about my stealing from him, about Kim being an addict, about Kim being a manipulator. Sometimes he likes her, sometimes she's a manipulator. About how Emma's a narcissist with 3 kids and is going to ruin Jack. About how she has a boyish body, which she totally doesn't, and just continuing making all these comments. And then he makes really, really strong homophobic comments, which we saw earlier in some of those things that he was talking with the other guy, just like really strong homophobic things. Says he hates it when a guy's knee brushes up against his, and just all these really bizarre things. And she's really scared of him and has no doubt that he is very harmful and would basically have no problem with causing someone physical harm. She feels like he's a huge threat. Just awful. Isn't that just the worst? It's just so awful. This is my response. Geez, I'm so sorry this happened. This is me to her. The only good news, and the reason I wanted this story from you, is that I thought you were actually physically raped. I can't believe that when you left my place, you didn't go straight to bed. I feel so terrible. I wish I would have just fed you and put you to bed at my place. When you guys left, I was reeling for the next 2 days myself, wanting to find, and I wanted to find all of you because I no longer felt any of you were safe with either of these people supposedly running this event. I too hoped that I would find someone like-minded who could potentially be a friend, and found that the coaches were the sickest people there. Although I thought Kim was the bigger problem of the two based on what I saw up to that point, obviously David takes the prize. As far as I'm concerned, Kim owes you and the entire community a massive apology. She needs to fall on a sword, so to speak, and let the chips fall where they may, because I totally understand that you thought you were in good hands, and because she vouched for David. She's known him for a long time, and has some kind of relationship with him. The whole thing is very troubling. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to ask me. Again, I am so sorry this happened to you. This was not your fault. This is thank you evening. Found your channel and whatever. I said, I don't think you need to make a statement at all. I think Kim does, because She is who people were here to see. You might give her permission to tell your story with a fake name and protect your identity. Always from there. Your face, you don't need to show your face or your name or make a statement or anything. Believe me, I understand and don't want to deal with any trouble either. It does seem trouble follows both of them, which concerned me even before any of this happened. I hope some of my videos do help you. I had no idea that I wouldn't see any of you again after you left my place, but I wish I had gotten a chance to talk with you. But I am glad we met, however briefly, and I would love to get to know you better. To be a big surprise, and felt somewhat violated myself, though it took some time for me to figure out why. One thing I want to say to you is not to assume blame here. You are far too ready to share the blame when you were truly victimized and left unprotected. David was the abuser for sure, but Kim owed you a safe environment, and I am pushing her to see that. This is the reason people probably don't do things like this all the time. Part of the problem is that we have people gaining a lot of power who really don't have the background and education to anticipate the problems that happened or to take care of their clients. You probably chose this event knowing that you weren't ready to protect yourself in a mainstream event. I get that, and it wasn't wrong for you to expect a narc-free zone or to expect that if something started to happen, protection would be there. My husband and I could see that you needed protection, and it shocks me that this happened after you left our place. He wasn't going to pull any of that shit in front of my husband. I would have known you could not protect yourself with David. I would have stepped in. It's also safe to say that my husband is the reason David didn't want to come to my house. He wasn't going to pull any of that shit in front of him. I just didn't fully understand everyone's relationship, and I didn't get that you had literally just arrived and didn't know anyone. I was mostly focused on how late Kim was, and that you arrived when the party was essentially over, and then the rudeness of that and was a lot. And then when she spent the night ranting on topics I clearly had no interest in discussing and did not agree with, even as you and her son were literally falling asleep, I couldn't imagine anyone I related to less. I was offended, but more than that, I was disappointed. Kim wasn't going to ensure your safe delivery to bed. I would have insisted on making you something to eat and then letting you choose a room where you could lock yourself in, knowing that you were safe inside with me outside. I regret not doing that. And while I understand the risk better than you did, I didn't foresee what ended up happening at all. But I don't know how you can expect to coordinate an event like this without a cell phone. All of us have stories of ending up out of the loop, which Kim is blaming on David, but I know that at least in my case, David had nothing at all to do with it. I was not in touch with David and had no contact info about him. The only actual meetup event was the meet and greet at my house that you guys missed. Anyone but Kim and possibly me because we were on YouTube. But I don't know how your lives would intersect and how he would get anything out of smearing you, but I do understand your concern. I too went through hell and had my entire life destroyed. It was a long time ago now, but the damage was permanent. Nothing of my first 35 years of life survived the discard. My entire family, all of my friends, all of my assets, my business, my home, my reputation, my children's childhoods, my health, and eventually, as you learn in PV, even one of my children didn't survive. The thing that struck me with both Kim and David was all the conflict, and it is clear that they are willing to devote their time to it. So obligated. So I'm guessing that is where it will stay. I will be very upset with Kim, however, if she doesn't speak up loud and clear very soon. No one else is obligated to do so, but I definitely believe she is. You don't need to put yourself at any more risk. It's Kim's job to protect you, and at this point, her own credibility. She asked me about counseling. I was actually a licensed counselor, private practice, but stopped seeing clients when my son died. That's when I started on YouTube. I haven't set myself up a formal practice related to my channel. I have courses and books that I haven't even had time to make available. I do help people through crises, but but not long-term, and so far everything related to my YouTube channel is free of charge. My goal is to expose the issue whenever you want. Just go through my website and contact page. And she just basically asked me about counseling services, and I said, you know, I was a licensed counselor in private practice, but I stopped doing one-on-one counseling when my son died, and that's when I started YouTube. I just one-on-one if I was not feeling, if I was, you know, really sad. It didn't seem like it'd be fair to have a really sad grieving counselor. It didn't seem like that would be the right thing. So, and I, you know, I was seriously grieving, so I didn't think I could do an adequate job. Anyway, so I kind of explained some of that to her, and that's basically that. So, and I have actually met with her. She's told me this story in person. It was, you know, completely, there was no contradiction. She told it exactly the same way when she told it to me in person. Then we had another conversation from, you know, a few days later, just a couple days ago, and you know, still completely consistent. I totally believe that what she said here is true. I totally believe it, and it, as I said, it's clear that Kim believes it too, or she also wants us to believe she cares about it and that she's going to do something about it. And when it, okay, so let me fast forward to the section now after the video goes up, when I find out that she's not going to do anything else. Very, very hyperbolic and very full of, you know, super predator. It's just like kind of ridiculous language, and the both of them are really extraordinarily immature. The very last emails that I had with her, this was 1 week ago, 7 days ago, after that video went up, I said, Kim, I have to tell you that I'm really uncomfortable with the way that you are handling what happened. Your video absolutely mischaracterizes what took place here. You are an outspoken person willing to talk about all kinds of things, but on your video there is nothing about David. You absolutely must explain that you are no longer advocating for David. You might want to say that there was no relationship between you, but you were anything but neutral about him. It looks to me like you are being self-protective rather than protective of countless victims, including those subjected to him at the meetup, especially Elle. I really hate that I feel this way. I want to back you up and totally intended to, but I've been surprised and disappointed by your non-reaction to this. I don't want to have you angry at me. I don't want to end up in a conflict because I came to your event, but I can't back you up if you condone what happened here. And by doing nothing, you are condoning it, especially because you have a history and a record of advocating for David. It's not realistic to assume that just stopping your support is going to be picked up on and understood by your viewers. You have to stand up for what's right. I am totally open to being wrong about this. If someone else in the group thinks I'm off base here, please tell me why I can feel okay about leaving the things this way. Please tell me. Let me also say that none of the rest of you are responsible, in my opinion. Kim has a responsibility and I have a responsibility because we put ourselves out there and ask people to trust our opinions and our advice. I expected to back Kim up as she faced the music, but now I find myself in a position that I did not expect or want. That is where things got left off there. And I think she sends me back one more thing where she's pretending that she's going to be doing something. She's saying, the group agrees that I should not go flying off the handle, you know, stuff like that. It's like, nobody's suggesting you fly off the handle. Nobody's suggesting you, she's saying all these things that she's not going to do. Not going to fly off the handle. I'm not going to get involved in a bunch of, and it's like, nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying, you just need to have a really, one matter of fact, clear, you know, clear, short, you know, video. And that is not what she just didn't want to do it. It's just typical narc stuff, lying, just flat out cowardly lying. It's just trying to fix things to work so that you can do what you want to do. So, you know, that's basically what she's doing. She's just fixing everything so that she can do what she wants to do. And where she ended up is so far from where she started in a matter of days. You know, in a matter of about a 3-day period, she just completely backpedaled. And I agree. Someone commented in the comments that that they think that they're still in contact, and I would definitely guarantee that they are. I would definitely expect that they are still in contact, because at this point it looks clear that she's made her choice. She's made her choice. All it suggests to me is that what it basically says to me is, it says that the way that she attacked me and assumed that I would have something to hide, but so easily accessible that she could just do a Google search and out some big secrets of mine and make me look like I it seems strange, but it also seems very plausible that that's the case for her, and she doesn't want David to do that to her. By the end of this crazy correspondence, most of the women have completely pulled back, which is to totally be expected. I even said in here at one point, I said, I'm surprised that these ladies are even still answering these emails. Email here where she goes off about what we should do, and it really sounds crazy, and it's basically where she spells out how she goes about a smear campaign. Basically, we don't need to spend a lot of time us talking about it. We need to get it to those people who don't know it, and so that's what we'll have to brainstorm how to do. We have to brainstorm how are we going to get this information to all the people who don't know anything about it. So we can all agree, we've confirmed the problem, we've identified the problem, we've all confirmed the problem, and we just have to do all that we can to get it somewhere, get it to a bigger, wider audience. And so I would say utilize any contacts you have, or if you have a contact you can set me up for an interview on, just do that. I'm willing to talk to anybody, and just do the best we can to get a reach out there to as many people as possible. And that's what we can do. That's all we can do. And make sure you're liking all my videos too, because I know there's a lot more comments and there are thumbs up. So you want to make. The reason I say that is because apparently they buy thumbs down. So we want to be able to make it more ups than downs. And the downs are coming. You see that the downs are racking up. You wonder who's doing that. But someone is. So that's basically the story. So I just wanted to share with you what exactly had happened, and show you kind of show you the progression of how things sort of disintegrated. The only person that she's spoken out against is me, and there's nothing. She has nothing on me. I have nothing to hide. So that isn't going to go very far. But what I'm hoping that people pay attention to her actions, because she's telling on herself all day long. She's also sending threatening stuff to my email. I blocked her on my email, so I don't receive emails from her anymore. But just like it's exactly like narcissistic abuse is exactly everything she says she doesn't want to do, or she says somebody else is doing, is exactly what she's doing. And basically her emails about is a blueprint for exactly what she's doing. So she knows how to do a smear campaign. She seems to enjoy the conflict. Now even engaging online. I'm not going to engage in a online smear campaign or cyber war. Yeah, apparently you have no problem with that. You just didn't want to do it with David. You're perfectly fine with doing it with me.